flips me a bad body. So, it's another one, yeah. It's a full strong, yeah. Oh, it's another one, yeah.
Good evening. Welcome to iBoxingHub. I go by the name of Biyenge, featuring yours Truly Tre and our lovely guest, Terry Lane. What's up?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Good evening in London there. It's in New York here. It's a little bit light out still.
Oh, I love it. Absolutely love the ambience as well behind there as well. Loving the ambience, Terry. And big up to the community as well. We've obviously got a special treat here. So I'm going to let my cousin introduce our guest properly. But if you guys don't know, Terry Lane does a lot of work in the back end for Zhilei, Big Bang Zhang'S. So it's obviously great to have Terry on so we can talk about the back end stuff that he does for Zhang and the lead up as well.
Sure, you want me to get into it? Yeah, oh yeah, no, I'm part of Zhilei's advisement team. There's 4 of us. I was involved with him early on before he turned pro. I helped him turn pro. There's some drama where he got some bad advice and went in another direction for a few years, and he wasn't being really developed properly. He was very much off the radar. My brother and I entered the picture again. He needed our assistance, and we helped get him into a better place in the last few years. I think we've done a pretty good job at that. And obviously we've got the big fight underneath Ngannou and Joshua. We're fighting Joseph Parker. We're super excited. We're not looking past Parker. I mean, this is a tough fight. He's a world-class former world champion fighter. I think it's going to be a great fight. Under normal circumstances, it would be a main event, but we are the co-main, which is totally fine. Excited to be in one of these huge special cards in Saudi Arabia. So whoever's there, we'll see you there on March 8th, and whoever's watching, enjoy it.
I can't wait. I'm truly excited. I mean, I'm a big boxing fan, but I can't wait for that fight. That's gonna be electrifying. You know, you've got Zhang who's just beaten Joe Joyce twice, and you've got Joe Joyce who defeated Joseph Parker. Now you've got Zhang and Joseph Parker. It's gonna be lit. I mean, I've got a question I wanted to ask you. It was something Lennox Lewis had said. He said that it's a bit unfair that the winner of Ngannou Joshua gets to fight the undisputed champion, whereas it should actually be the winner of Zhang and Parker should challenge for the world title. I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, of course, I'm biased, so I agree with that. Listen, we want to fight Joshua. We want to fight Fury. We want the big names. We don't want Stay Busy. We don't want any of that. That's not Zhilei. That's not who Big Bang Zhang is. He's a legacy guy. He wants the big fights. I think if we beat Parker, let me take a step back. Whoever wins the fight between Zhang and Parker deserves a shot at one of those. But listen, all the rumblings behind the scenes, I'll just share it with everybody. No one wants to spoil the chance of Joshua versus Fury. Everyone is trying to preserve that. I'm a boxing fan as well. I understand that's probably the biggest fight you can make in boxing. And if you're in the UK like you guys, this is a not even once in a generation thing. This is a once in a lifetime type fight. I get that. However, people have earned their keep. And if you put Zhang in the ring with either Joshua or Fury, that fight doesn't happen, or at least it gets diminished, because Zhang, I think, beats both of them. And I think they know that. And Joshua, we've been respectfully chasing him. We haven't been out in the, I'm friendly with his team. I talk with his team. I talk with his promoters. We're not going to be disrespectful, but we want that fight. I think if we beat Parker, we've more than earned the fight. And look, we're the interim champion in WBO. So we're going to have to see where the chips fall and how things unfold. I often compare, boxing and heavyweight boxing, especially to a game like musical chairs, where you don't want to be the last one standing when the music's done. But listen, Zhang Parker is a serious heavyweight fight with 2 world-class guys. Even though Parker's younger, he's got more mileage underneath him. Zhang is almost like the younger, fresher fighter, even though he's like 8-9 years older. Very interesting dynamic we're working with here. But look, boxing doesn't follow any rules, and I can only hope that things just work out in our favor. But look, we're looking forward to March 8th and Joseph Parker.
No, absolutely. Big up to you. And firstly, bring up the message for Bakaya Saka is obviously saying big up, and our co-host Aisha, who would actually be, God willing, at the event live there with you. So you'll get to see her live with Zhilei Zhang and that's going to be an exciting one. And big up Tony Ellis as well. Tony Ellis is obviously saying, would you be open to fighting Ngannou? Would that be a fight, Terry, that you think, you know what?
Actually, that fight has been discussed, and Ngannou's people did not like it. So,
okay, it's fair. It's fair, absolutely fair.
I mean, so Terry, let's just say, okay, Zhang beats Parker, right? And who would he want to fight next? You know, if he can't fight the likes of AJ or Fury or Usyk, would you entertain Wilder or Daniel Dubois?
Yes to both. The Dubois fight might be easier to make because we're under the same promoter, but I know there is interest on Deontay Wilder's part. In fact, that was even an option perhaps for March 8th for us. I don't know if the guy's got to go off and get a win. Maybe Wilder had an off night on December 23rd. He didn't look himself. He couldn't pull the trigger. I mean, but not everybody can be on. Any athlete is not going to be 100% and on every single night. You're going to have off nights. But, the money that would be required to getting Wilder in the ring, I think might be the issue there. But we're absolutely open to those options. We're with Queensberry. Queensberry promotes Dubois, so that might be easier to make. But you're right. I mean, we just don't know how this is going to play out. Fury and Usyk have rematch clauses. Joshua's not going to want to go near us if there's the chance of the fight on the horizon with Fury. So again, we just have to see how this plays out. If Usyk and Fury are tied up in a rematch and Joshua gets past Ngannou, which he probably should and probably will, I don't know why we just don't do that. And that's the appeal I would make to Joshua's team, his fans. Listen, your guy beat Zhilei in the amateurs in the Olympics in London. There's a backstory there. They're two guys who respect each other. It's a big fight. Let's do it. That would be my appeal. But yeah, we're going to have to look at options if that can't happen.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding is that once Fury fights Usyk, the IBF belt gets vacated, and next in line is Hrgović. Maybe Zhang and Hrgović could do it again for a world title.
Well, that's possible, but from what I'm hearing, Hrgović, he's going to fight for the IBF world title next, and that so in the alphabet soup of sanctioning bodies, I believe yes, the IBF will order first, and then someone will have to make a decision. And listen, there's managers and lawyers and letters going back and forth, and this is something that fans never see. But I think our title, or the WBO, I should say, is after that in line. And so Fury or Usyk, whoever wins, barring a DQ or a draw on September 17th, they're going to have to decide what belts they want to defend and not defend. But you might see AJ and Hrgović. You might see that. I don't know where Hrgović is at in the standings for the WBO. I'm not sure. But basically, if it's a world title shot to have another chance as being world champion, if AJ might have the option of fighting Zhilei Zhang or Parker, whoever wins that fight, or Hrgović. I don't know if you put yourself in their shoes, what is the easier fight? What is the more dangerous fight? They're going to have that discussion. But I do know that it's important to AJ and his team to become again a world champion, world heavyweight champion, and he might have the option to pick Hrgović or the winner of Parker Zhang. Another scenario to throw into this very complicated situation anyway. So it's a mess.
It's really good, honestly, and just hearing it from your perspective, you obviously do a lot in the back end, and this is obviously one of the reasons why I wanted to just get you onto the show today, so that you can give the community your scope on what's going on in the back end in terms of the negotiations, the thinking as well. Naheem's obviously asking, and big up to Naheem, he's saying, how many more years does Zhang plan to stay in the sport?
Hey, Naeem. Great question. Your guess is as good as mine. It's truly remarkable for a guy. I'm like a month older than Zhilei, and I'm not a young man. But like every fight, he seems to get better. And the tweaks he's making to his camp, to his team, with the coaches, strength and conditioning. Sean George is doing an absolute bang up hell of a job with him on the boxing end. I mean, you see the results. The guy is Benjamin Button, aging backwards. And so I don't know. It's different with heavyweights. We have to keep in mind heavyweights generally can last longer. First of all, with all the knockouts, their fights don't usually last. Like, you don't have these brutal heavyweight fights. Usually someone's getting knocked out pretty clean, which in some ways is safer, but also you don't have to cut weight. which really takes a toll on fighters. So Zhilei might have, I don't know, several years ahead of him.
No, that's absolutely crazy, and it's good to know as well, because I've just seen in every fight Zhilei is just getting better and better and better. And honestly, whenever I see Zhilei fight, I just think Chinese power. He's got the big bang. He's got it, and I just feel at any point he could, produce something big. And big up to Neutral as well. He's obviously saying Terry will get a big pay-per-view fight for Big Bang in China before he retires. I agree.
Hey, Steve. That's the plan, Steve. China's difficult. It's a difficult country to operate in. Boxing is a very fringe sport, but Zhilei really has put it on the map. He became I don't want to say an overnight hero, because after the first Joe Joyce fight and then the second Joe Joyce fight, he has become a national hero in China. So that is making our efforts easier to stage something in China. We're working with Queensberry on this. I don't think it's going to happen next, but Steve, to answer your question, that's the plan before he retires. We'd love to do a big fight in China before he retires. Yeah,
I think you'll do it. I've just got a good feeling about the energy that your team brings, especially what you and your brother bring to the table as well. And cuz we was actually talking off air, what's the fun facts that you found out about Terry and Tom?
Oh,
you're related to.
Oh, apologies. Yes. See, I didn't know that your dad was a referee. 'Cause I literally started watching. Well, I'm 34, so I started watching boxing at age of 6, and I remember the famous fight, Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield, the second one.
Yeah.
And that's the famous fight. And literally, I just do my research. I wanted to also ask you, what got you and your brother into boxing? What got you into boxing? For those who want to be working behind the scene, like what's the process, etc.
Well, I'll answer Lucy's question. Yes, Mills Lane is my dad, and I have my brother who's my partner in this business. We actually are promoters first. That's kind of how I self-identify in boxing. Zhilei is kind of a special project to us, but yeah, we grew up around the sport. I've been to more fights than I can even remember. I literally was around the business out of the womb. My dad, was a amateur fighter, pro fighter, and then a referee. And actually, people don't know this, but his refereeing career and pro fighting career overlapped, which is an unusual thing. But yeah, I got to go to some major fights as a kid, and it's one of those things that I guess I'm just kind of a lifer. I was just kind of born into it, and I've never really had a real job. I don't know if that's a good thing, because sometimes I think I want to get out of this crazy damn business. It's not for the faint of heart. But what else am I going to do? Be a postman? It's like I'm qualified for nothing else at this point. I'm 40, maybe 41 this year, so I just have to stick with it, I guess. But yeah, out of college, out of university, as you would say, my brother and I started a small promotional company and promoting small events in Reno, Nevada, where we're originally from, and it kind of just it's been a wild road, and here we are.
Wow. An absolutely tremendous story, and big up Lucy. Lucy's obviously saying might be the most popular boxing ref ever.
I don't. He actually had like a TV show here after the Tyson fight. Funny, I was in middle school, and there's a rumor that I had Holyfield's ear in my freezer at home. So I had to deal with stuff like this as a kid, and then also in my community, my dad was like a district attorney and a judge. So he was kind of well known in the community anyway. So it was just weird. It was like the movie Casino almost. I feel like that may not make sense to anybody, but yeah. After that fight, he got like a TV show. He was like world famous, and he was like on Celebrity Deathmatch as the referee for MTV. I don't know if that reached the UK, but it
was massive.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been he passed away in December of 2022, so it's just been over a year, and it's been rough. Everybody deals with this. Everybody has to go through it. You lost the loved ones, but it's been. If you were not involved in boxing, I would not be talking to you guys right now.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's absolutely fair. So, what was you going to say?
Just a quick one. Who is your favorite boxer then? Would you say from the 90s and now?
Oh man, because I'm a little bit of a minor boxing historian, so I like to go way, way back. But from when I was growing up, when I was growing, I mean, like, obviously, like, when I was really, my first memories are some of the Tyson years. And so that might be, it's kind of a politically correct answer, but Tyson, my dad, I think he did 8 or 9 of his fights. And it was just like, being in Las Vegas for some of those fights, the atmospheres, I still don't even think there's anything like it today. So I just remember that, that era pretty well. But yeah, I mean, like, I like Duran, but Duran was a little bit before my time. I don't know.
Hands of Stone, definitely. I absolutely loved his energy as well, especially his fights with Sugar Ray Leonard. So, no, that's a absolute good legend as well. There's also a question here from Naheem. Actually, very, very good question here. So, I'm sorry, Al Heyman, you put it up. Oh, tremendous. He's obviously saying that there used to be a big crossover between boxing, WWE, and pop media, especially Mills Lane showing up in WWE and other big boxers. Do you think boxing can get itself back to that point of more crossovers? I'm guessing.
Ooh, yeah, that's a great question. I don't see why not. I mean, you have boxers like Canelo and Fury who have and even AJ who have transcended into what I would call mainstream. I might be a little too close to it to answer this question, but boxing is both big and small. It's a niche sport, but it's still very global, and it still has, depending on who you ask, somewhere between 50 and 100 million fans worldwide. So it's not going anywhere, but no one can save it, as that famous quote goes. I think that was Larry Merchant who said that. Boxing will never die, but no one can save it. I don't know. I would like to see it more mainstream. I think it's the greatest sport in the world. MMA might have cut into a little bit of the younger generation, but I kind of sense there's a comeback with the younger people following it with, new media and social media. So I hope one day we get to that point.
Yeah, and it's good that you both said it. Obviously, big up to Neutral. Neutral saying your dad's a legend, of course. He remembers.
Appreciate that.
In '98, so big up to your dad. We're kind of getting the crossover in a way because we're getting the YouTube influencer scene coming into play, and that's also bringing the new gens into boxing. Because I'm just hearing Todd Grisham, doing the commentary, doing the stuff in the back end. It kind of brings me back to, what my cousin was saying. We grew up watching WWE. So just hearing these names being involved, I think it can happen. I think it can definitely happen.
Yeah.
Boxing's on the rise right now.
More attention to the sport is not a bad thing. I mean, in my opinion, and being on the business end of it, anything to get new eyeballs on you, is a good thing. I know there's some debate about purists versus the YouTuber stuff, but ultimately it's a net positive to have more people, paying attention.
True. What's your view? So I'm hearing Tyson Fury said when he fought Ngannou, he said he had a full camp, and last week he'd said that he only had 5 weeks to train for Ngannou. Do you think he's lying?
I don't think that. Listen, in the build up to a fight, this is kind of like the worst kept secret. You're kind of saying all the right things, like, oh, I had a great camp. Sometimes those are lies, but you're building up a fight, right? You're trying to sell a fight. The Tyson Fury that we saw that night, my opinion, I do not think had a proper camp. Was it the fact that he had not enough time, or did he just think that he was going to walk right through an MMA fighter? Only he can answer that question truthfully. But I think that a properly prepared Tyson Fury would have handled Ngannou easily.
No, that's a very, very good point because I was thinking the same. It was such a disappointment in a way, just seeing how he kind of didn't really take it seriously, but we obviously don't know what happened in the back end. It was still a good event, and it's obviously produced this event with AJ and Ngannou. So I just can't wait for the card.
Yeah, AJ's in a position to save the integrity of boxing. So Anthony, please, do your job here, man. And I know you will, but I mean, don't make us look bad again. We all looked horrible, and I had to go face my friends and oh, MMA is better, and I have to defend that. I don't want to have to defend that anymore, man. Just please, for the love of God and for the love of boxing, please do your job, bro.
Do you think the
AJ.
pressure's on AJ fighting Ngannou?
I think not just to win, but I think there is some pressure to win impressively, because I mean, Ngannou's got that guy's story is so incredible, and that guy being in a ring with whoever, that is no pain compared to what he has faced in his lifetime. So you have a guy with nothing to lose and everything to gain, and that's he's coming in with Ngannou's coming in with a correct mindset. But I think it does put some pressure on AJ to like really like look great and knock this guy out, truly.
I agree. I agree exactly with what Terry's saying. I think, all the pressure is going to be on AJ, and at least he's got some footage as well, which is really good. He's got some footage to kind of look back on in the ring. I know you don't really look too much on the footage, but at least he's got something to study, and I'm sure AJ is going to, be prepared and do what he does, of course. But I'm more excited about Zhang, honestly. We're in a bit of, to be honest with you, we're in a bit of a bittersweet situation, because we obviously got our clothing partner, which is D-Rock. D-Rock are working with Joseph Parker. So we've got, but at the end of the day, I just want to see us, have a tremendous event. And I just think the best fighter will win on that day. And it's going to be exciting.
It's going to be a great fight. I think you're going to see some really great boxing by both guys. Obviously they're heavyweights. Anything can happen. I mean, one shot can change everything. But I mean, look, I'm excited about it. I'm going to be a nervous wreck that day and that night, So if you see me and I'm just out of sorts, that's why. But I'm always like that. But it's a great fight. It's a great heavyweight fight. And it's funny, boxing, even though Joyce beat Parker, knocked him out. And we beat Choice twice. That doesn't mean that this is an easy fight for Zhilei. That's not how boxing works. It's all about styles. And I can't give away the game plan or what we're talking about in camp, but we're prepared, and we are giving everything we have into this camp. And when I said about building up a fight in Lion, that's the truth. This has been an amazing camp, and it's going really well, but like we're prepared for the best Joseph Parker there is. And he's got, Andy Lee, who comes from, Detroit Kronk camp. I mean, all the respect to him and what he's done with Joe Parker and all of his other fighters. I mean, we're going to get a good Joseph Parker in front of us. We're ready.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. And Lucy's obviously saying here, you won't have to worry about AJ coming in out of shape.
True.
Obviously,
True.
He's normally in shape. And no, it's
very true, Lucy. Very true. Yeah, I mean, AJ is a consummate professional. I mean, he's going to always come in shape. I'm looking forward to running out of the locker room after hopefully we win and watching that fight ringside. AJ will take care of business.
There's another opponent, I reckon. I don't know if you guys might entertain Derek Chisora.
Yeah, Derek's name's come up. We are not opposed to that fight. People on the other end, the people writing the checks and the other organizers weren't super hot on that. I look, that'd be fun. I want to see Derek Chisora versus who was the guy? Jarrell Miller.
Yes.
I don't know if that guy's got legal problems now, but I mean, like the absolute trash talk in the lead up to that fight would be absolutely insanity. So, listen, my words to God's mouth, like, you please make that fight. Turkey Allah Sheikh, Your Excellency, please, just for our entertainment, that would be, oh man, it'd be so great. How can I help to make that happen? But yeah.
So
no.
Fury and Usyk. So who do you see winning that fight?
I think I'm going to quote what Zhilei said about this recently publicly. If Fury's having the proper preparation, proper camp, I think Fury's size should hold in that fight. Usyk, we have to remember, was a cruiserweight, and Fury's not a small man, and at some point the size should hold, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, definitely agree with that.
No, I definitely agree as well. But I can't lie, I'm a massive Usyk fan. I love his story, similar to Zhang's come up. I kind of wanted to ask you, in fact, before we I just want to steer us away from that fight. in terms of your reaction and feeling, like how was the feeling like when Zhang, came over to the UK for the first time to obviously fight Joy Joyce in that first fight? Like, how was the feeling when you won? Like, I just wanted to know the emotions. What was the feeling?
It was incredible. And what I would like to remind people of is remember the perception of Joe Joyce before that first fight. Zhilei was a stay busy fight for him. It was kind of like, let's get in the ring. This guy's old. He's not going to last. We'll probably knock Zhang out. We saw this completely differently. So with the risk of sounding cocky, we kind of saw this coming, and we all made extra money in the fight by betting on Zhang. But it was a terrible style matchup for Joyce. It just was. And we also were trying to dissuade them from doing the rematch, but they had the right to do that. But it was an incredible feeling. It was still very risky to go to not only the guy's home country, but the guy's hometown. And we were the B-side, and we felt we were treated very lovely. And it's been a dream of mine to be involved in a fight in the UK just because of how great the fans are in the UK. But it was just a wonderful feeling, even though we got booed out of the building. It was still great. And obviously we had the sequel, which was just kind of the exclamation point on it. I can't even describe the feeling of it because it just put Zhilei on the map. In the US, it was shown on ESPN. It was shown on, it was BT, but now it's TNT over there. It was seen by so many more people, and people were like, who is this guy? Maybe I've heard of his name, but this big Chinese guy who can punch, this is interesting. This is cool. I want to know more. I want to see more. And that's kind of helped to get, here where we are today.
Yeah, massive shout out to yourself, the team involved, obviously Big Bang himself. I just love the story, the come up, and that's why it kind of led me over to the love for also Usyk as well. You look at his story, Olympian, coming into this fight. I think a win potentially could put him in the same realms as Evander Holyfield, coming up from cruiserweight to becoming obviously undisputed champion, and he's going to overcome the odds to do it. So for me, I know obviously Fury's British, but I would want that fairy tale ending for Usyk.
I mean, you're absolutely right. After beating AJ twice, and if Usyk gets his hand raised on February 17th, hats off to him. I already think he's one of the pound for pound guys on the top 10 list right now. Anyway, regardless of the result. Just because he's shown that. But if he gets his hand raised, you got to give him his props.
100%. I actually can't wait for that fight. It's next month. What, just under 3 weeks?
3 weeks yesterday. Yeah, 3 weeks yesterday. Yeah. I think I'm right on that. Yeah, 3 weeks from Saturday. I mean, it's right around the corner. It's right there.
Ooh, So who? Wow, just putting our sort of emotions out of it. Who are you going for? If you had to place a bet on one of the fighters winning, who are you going for, Terry?
For Usyk Fury?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to take all the emotions out. Well, listen.
Yeah.
We would. I do think I'm going to stand by my statement. I'm going to say Fury. I think his size should hold if he has the right camp. I know we're hearing things about what has happened in camp. I don't know what to be true and not true. Weird things happen in sparring that we shouldn't put a lot of stock into. But I would say Fury. Emotionally, I love Usyk. I love his manager. We talk quite often. But if Fury were to win this and he's still kind of a top heavyweight, and if for whatever reason they can't make Joshua, he's with Queensberry and we're with Queensberry. And if we look great on March 8th, Fury, it's kind of like if we had our wish list of opponents, it'd be kind of AJ and Fury, and that's like a 1A and 1B. It's not even 1 and 2. We would like either of those guys, and we, in theory, should be able to make that fight because we're both with the same promoter, so it should be a little easier to make. But Fury, I think, would maybe, if the circumstances were right, I think he would step in the ring with us.
No, definitely. Everyone's just getting excited, of course. Big up to Ayana as well. Ayana's obviously saying Usyk late stoppage. Fury had not taken care of his body. Look, it's a decent call. Also, before we kind of get into the last bit of the show, of course, and Terry, thank you so much for taking a lot of our time, of course. Aisha's obviously agreeing with you. saying that Chisora versus Miller would obviously be a good fight. That would be hilarious. But we just saw obviously Munguia versus Ryder yesterday. Obviously, you managed to catch some of the highlights, of course. Cuz, did you watch the fight as well?
Yes. Do you know what? It wasn't Ryder's night. It wasn't his night at all. He's just. Yeah, I think Munguia and Canelo next, or Munguia and Benavidez next.
Terry, what's your thoughts?
Listen, I said this before after Ryder fought Canelo. I mean, that's a guy that, like, Ryder's a guy you want in the foxhole with you, man. That guy's just tough as nails. From what I saw, though, it wasn't his night. I did not predict a stoppage, but the really tough fight against Canelo, those types of fights take a toll. And did that play into the result of last night? Perhaps it did, but I think you're right. I think they might tee up Munguia for Canelo. We're just going to have to see how that plays out. But yeah, Benavidez is a really tough fight for Canelo. So if Canelo's like picking between one of those guys, I see it being Munguia, but there's some other options out there for him as well. British fighters overrated, in my opinion. Hey. I'm not gonna say that British fighters are overrated, but like, if Eddie Hearn gets another no-name Mexican to knock off one of his guys, man, I mean, like, that just happens over and over and over again. Like these guys from Mexico, man, you got to be really careful if you're trying to build up a guy. They will come. They don't know anything else but winning.
I know. I 100% agree, and I think it's more of the stigma of British fighters fighting in the States. I wouldn't really say it's more of an overrated thing, because as of recent, we haven't really got the best record in the States in these past, I would say, a few years when you're thinking about major fights. But look, we've had a few legends. We've had, the likes of Naz, show what he could do in the States, Ricky Hatton. So there is definitely, a big presence. But I just think that now with boxing changing, going to Saudi Arabia, are we going to still see those Las Vegas events? Are we still going to see these big events in the States?
That's a great question. If you want to go back in time more, I mean, New York City used to be what Las Vegas used to be, and then Las Vegas with the gaming, that changed the paradigm of boxing, and then all the big fights went there because live gate in New York City could not compete with what the casinos were willing to put up for guarantees to give to promoters. So that changed things, and now is the new era Saudi? We're going to see, but it's a really interesting time to be a boxing fan. You have all these streaming services. Hopefully, the type of money that's coming out of Saudi Arabia can get fights made, and that's the key thing. And I know everybody is kind of repeating themselves, but it's important. His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh, who's making these fights and funding these fights, he's a really sophisticated boxing fan, and he knows what he's doing. He's grown up watching the sport. He definitely is making things happen. Best Brit was Lennox Lewis.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for pointing out there our last undisputed champion, Lennox Lewis, as well. And he's a name that needs to be mentioned more because he's not mentioned enough. Obviously, Smith shit his knickers.
I remember how my first exposure that I remember for British boxing fans in the States was the rematch between Frank Bruno and Mike Tyson. It was a rematch. It was Tyson's third fight out of prison. My dad did referee the fight, so I was there live. And like, I just remember like the British fans came, like, you didn't even know you were in the States. It was insane. But Tyson obviously knocked, I think it was like a third round knockout or something like that.
Yeah, I remember watching that fight. I was 6 years old. I remember watching that, but yeah.
Definitely. You know what? Just thinking about the Munguia fight, of course, I just wanted to kind of put my take on that. I think Munguia did tremendously yesterday in terms of putting a statement. I know fighters normally, when they have to put in a statement, it can sort of play on their performance, but it looks like he obviously got the stoppage in the end. I'm hoping he gets this big fight. I'm hoping he gets this big fight with Canelo or Benavidez if that doesn't happen. But let's see what the future holds for Munguia. But if Benavidez and Munguia were to fight for your so-called mandatory spot to fight Canelo, who you guys got? I'm just throwing a little twist out there for us.
Ooh, I mean, in that fight, I like Benavidez. Rangy, strong, tall, can fight. I would take Benavidez in that hypothetical matchup.
I agree with Terry.
Bukayo Saka saying Benavidez beats them all. Look, we're hoping for the big fight. We're hoping
Mr. Saka might be right.
Yeah, Saka, you obviously could be right. Definitely, I agree with you. And obviously, even Canelo, yep.
Could be right. Could be right. Yep.
Definitely agree. And Naheem is obviously saying Munguia looked good yesterday, but he's middle around low level for quite too long. Remember, he beat Liam Smith and was a world champion at 21. He's now 21 now and hasn't done anything since. Look, he's obviously had that big fight yesterday with Ryder, and I think that would at least take him to the next scale in terms of getting these bigger fights. But I think the future's bright, and I hope, we could get to see some big events for the middleweights, because I'm believing that Canelo could potentially fight the bigger Charlo, of course. The Hitman.
Yeah, is that Maul or Mel? I get it mixed up. But I mean, Jamal. I guess that would be the third option for Canelo. But I don't know. I mean, that against the younger Charlo, that was so bad. I mean, people still have a bad taste in their mouth. I don't know. I mean, what are they? I mean, there's a narrative there, like, Avenger Brothers, not his loss, but his terrible fucking showing. Sorry if I cursing here, but I mean,
it's all good.
I mean, I don't know. I would love to see Canelo Benavidez. But that's a tough fight for Canelo.
Ooh,
Canelo versus Crawford. I don't. That's the fight I would like to see. Crawford and Canelo. I would like to. That's again my words to God's mouth. And me and you. How do you say that? Bukayo. Yeah. Bukayo. Yeah. I would love to see that, man. I would love to see that fight.
That will be a big jump from 147 to 168 for Crawford. Whew, it's too dangerous.
It would be. I've stood next to both of them. They're not all that. I mean, Canelo's like very kind of stocky. I mean, it's not a crazy height difference, but I mean, yeah, I don't know. Canelo's just been in there with bigger guys. It's really, I don't know, but I would love to see that fight because I think the world of Crawford.
No, definitely. So Jan is obviously saying let's not lose to run of ourselves because Munguia beat a mid-level fighter. He did, but what I'm kind of saying is Ryder, he went obviously 12 rounds with Canelo. Now the next fight, Munguia obviously had to put a statement out there just to show that I could be better than Canelo.
Let's just put it this way. For Iana, I think Iana's right on to something, but like let's just say Munguia's stock rose last night or this morning for you guys. He was impressive to he maybe earned at least part of the discussion of the Canelo sweepstakes, but you're not wrong as well. Again, we'll have to see how it all unfolds.
No, definitely. And Canelo Crawford, let's talk it into existence. His Excellency signed the check. Yes, Canelo Crawford. Let's see it happen.
CHEQUE, yeah, check UK style. When I'm in Saudi Arabia, I will happily pitch the idea, as I'm sure he's already thought of it. But cut that check, man. Cut that check, and let's see that. But I'm happy to see that.
Oh, like even neutral saying Ryder mid-level, yet took Canelo 12. It's a bit harsh. It is a bit harsh, but look. Regardless, anyway, I think we can all agree that Benavidez should be fighting Canelo Cinco de Mayo. I've been saying, why? This is the fight that needs to happen. Cinco de Mayo, Benavidez, Canelo. Who is the best Mexican? This is a tremendous fight.
Yeah, no, that would be that's the type of fight that kind of get your hair standing up on the back of your neck. But I mean, that's a tough fight for Canelo. But Canelo likes tough fights. He's that type of guy. He is a legacy guy too. But he's not old, but he's got a lot of mileage on him. And it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. especially now that like Amazon is entering the game too, and you got the Saudis, and there's a lot of different things happening. You know, we're going to see 2024 is going to be a really special year for boxing in general, I think.
Yeah, Terry, you've actually just said exactly what I was thinking. Last year was a tremendous year, and already this year is going to end up being an even bigger year. So, no, thank you so much, Terry, for just joining us on the show. I feel that we can talk, you know, boxing for hours, but I know you're busy. You've got a lot of back-end stuff that you need to do for Zhilei. So give us, you know, the love, and just say we've obviously got his back. I'm a massive fan of his, so I'm hoping, you know, he does a tremendous job on the night.
Well, we'll see you guys out there. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you for your time and the support. And yeah, we're gonna give it hell on March 8th. Zhang will.
Oh, thank you so much. And massive shout out also to our sponsors, D-Rock as well. So they are our clothing partners. So guys, if you want to support the movement, you see Johnny Nelson here, a legend, is obviously rocking their attire. And Zhilei's opponent, Joseph Parker, also involved there as well. So guys, all you have to do is just go on the website and type in iBoxingHub 24, and you get 40% off everything on the website. So Terry, once again, thank you so much. Give Tommy my regards as well. And we're obviously looking forward to doing this series, you know, with the community, where we could just, you know, dig deep into what's going on with the Big Bang Zhang. So, Cuz, can you wrap us up?
Yeah, guys, thank you for tuning in. Have a lovely, productive week. Remember to follow us, iBoxingHub, and peace and love. We're out.
It's another band. All the Muslim cars now, whichever get up. I stop my scar.